Hello, friends, and welcome to the show. So, this episode, I'm going to be talking about how you can't trust Democrats. You can't trust the mainstream media. Who am I kidding? They're one and the same for the most part. And that's because all they want to do is push a narrative, and they want to push that narrative so they can shove their agenda down your throat and you can't say anything about it because if you basically find out the truth and say no, this is the truth, they say they'll ban you, they'll silence you, they'll censor you, they'll cancel you, and say you're spreading misinformation, that you're spreading propaganda and hatred and spewing hate speech when you're actually telling the truth. So how about this? How about when you lie, that is hateful because you are purposefully deceiving somebody else. When you're telling the truth, even if the truth hurts, the truth is not violence. How about we have that be the standard in 2021? I feel like we would be a much better society because just lying to people to make them feel better isn't accomplishing anything. It's it's just regressing our culture, it's regressing society as a whole, and it's very disturbing. So let's get started. Here's a tweet from Hillary Clinton, just classic gaslighting from the Democrats. I'm sending prayers today to the families of the people killed and those injured in Atlanta's horrific attacks. The surge in violence against Asian Americans over the last year is a growing crisis. We need action from our leaders and within our communities to stop the hate. The first response, the most popular response. You can thank the former president who insisted calling COVID 19 by another geographical name. So he's blaming Trump for calling it the Chinese whatever. So, what exactly are you trying to get at? Are you trying to say this is a nationalism? Well, let's see what Nicole Hannah Jones has to say about this. Last night's shooting and the appalling rise of anti Asian violence stem from a sick society where nationalism has again been stoked and normalized. Anti black and anti Asian racism and violence run in tandem in the US. Both groups were brought here for labor, but never meant to be citizens. So she goes on this entire spiel. And then basically at the end, she says, basically, let's see, let's scroll all the way to the end because it's a huge thread. I stand with my Asian American brothers and sisters, just as so many of you have stood with us. I grieve. We must own all of this history, all of it, and determine to fight for a truly multiracial democracy where we all can be free. But this is funny because John Gage has receipts. He asks, is this you? Also, we need to call out how disingenuous it is to talk about how specialized being majority POC when she means Asian. So, just 6 months ago, Nicole Hannah Jones didn't believe Asians should qualify as being people of color because Asian people are more successful than basically everybody else in this country. So they shouldn't be labeled people of color because they're successful. But now that there's this talk about anti Asian hate crimes that are going on in the country, now it's convenient to call them a person of color. But once it's no longer politically convenient for people like Nicole Hannah Jones and Hillary Clinton, then they'll be whitewashed again and no longer be considered a person of color. And it's disgusting. This sort of race baiting, this sort of just gaslighting of the POC community is disgusting and is only done by Democrats. Let's jump over to Joel Pollak. If you're out on social media right now blaming Trump for a horrific murder spree in Georgia that police say had nothing to do with A, Trump, B, racial motivations, you're stoking hatred and possibly more violence. You need to look in the mirror and put down your phone for the day. So last night, people were basically saying, "Well, was this Asian hate crimes? Was he only targeting Asian establishments?" Well, it appeared like he did. But I did some research because nobody appeared to do any research. They only said, "Oh, Asian people died. Okay, white nationalist. He was white, a 21-year-old white kid, and white man. He's 21. So 21-year-old white man went in and shot a bunch of Asian women, and that's sad, right? That is a tragedy." But I did some research because something didn't seem to add up. Why would he target three establishments that were all Asian massage parlors? all within a couple miles of each other. So it seemed like there were places he may have gone to before. And I did some research. But before you do any research, you gotta, find some background information to see if it's even worth doing some research. So here's this: sex trafficking, the illegal business of recruiting, harboring, transporting, obtaining, or providing a person, and especially a minor, for the purpose of sex. Atlanta, home to many things: the Falcons, Coca Cola, CNN, and one of the biggest hubs of sex trafficking nationwide. This modern day slavery is the second largest criminal enterprise in the world, second only to the drug trade, according to the nonprofit Out of Darkness. So there we go. So sex trafficking is huge in Atlanta. It's the third largest hub in the country, I think only behind Dallas and Houston. So wherever you have a main hub for shipping, you're going to have a lot of sex trafficking. So I looked up the website for aromatherapy spa in Atlanta, Georgia, and I kind of scrolled down and it's like, all right, this looks pretty suspicious. You keep scrolling down, you keep scrolling down. If you're watching on YouTube, you're seeing what I'm seeing right now. You keep scrolling down: massage, table shower, a jacuzzi, Asian Latin American massage spa near Atlanta. Escape from the stress and reward yourself with us. We can give you amazing aroma energy charms for love, luck, and more. Shh, it's a secret. So, okay, there's that. And let's jump to Gold Spa. Oh my goodness, on Bird's Eye. Get authentic customer reviews in minutes. Gold Spa was amazing. I went in and was greeted by a gorgeous young Asian woman. I paid the house and then was taken into a room where I was told to get undressed, and then she massaged me and flipped me, and then she performed a sexual act. When I parked my car, one lady was waiting in the door with a hasty face. She took me a room hurriedly and asked give me $60 and whatever you want to give extra tip, and asked the girl. One good-looking woman came in a bikini and asked for $360. I tried to negotiate, but she was not ready. She got $80 for small extra service. She rolled her hand on my chest for 30 seconds, then did 2 minutes work, but did not do any massage. After 3 minutes work altogether, she took me to the shower, given bath for 2 minutes hastily, like I'm not an important customer. When I got out of the table, I still had soap on my leg. She'd taken to the room and asked me to get dressed. It was all over in 10 minutes. I'm from New York City, and this place would be out of business in a New York minute. Young Asians Massage in Ackworth, Georgia. Rub maps where fantasy meets reality. So I'm not a member of this, so I'm not gonna really log in to see these reviews. But even newest post forums, more bad stuff going down. Another nutcase, this time in Atlanta. Stimulus checks. What would you volunteer for a COVID-19 vaccine trial? What are you doing with your stimulus payment? Atlanta shootings change everything. Help, how do I get this potential ATF to like me? Shooting at 3 spas in Atlanta, shooting in Atlanta spas today, shooting in Atlanta area spas. So this was a place where they were getting rub downs, right? So, and then also on, I think it was Gold Spa, I found one of their escort pages, and I can't show it on YouTube because I would get in trouble for basically showing pornographic material. And that's why I was like, okay, these appear to be fronts for sex trafficking. These could be fronts for human trafficking. And so the Daily Mail reports: sex addict Georgia gunman, 21, killed 8 people, including 6 Asian women, at 3 massage parlors because he wanted to eliminate temptation. Porn fiend was on his way to Florida to shoot more when cops rammed his Hyundai off the road. Robert Aaron Long, 21, was arrested on Tuesday night after a 3-hour manhunt in Georgia. He first opened fire at Young's Asian Massage in Ackworth, 30 miles northwest of Atlanta, at 5 p.m. He killed 4 people there and drove to Atlanta and opened fire at Gold's Massage Spa. Police were called to a report of an armed robbery at Gold Spa and found 3 Asian women dead. While they were there, the cops received reports of another shooting across the street at Aromatherapy Spa. Police found the final victim at Aromatherapy Spa across the street. Long was already on the run. At 8 p.m., 3 hours after the first shots were reported, Long was arrested on a road in Crisp County, 150 miles south of Atlanta. Once in custody, he confessed to the killings and said he had been at the 3 massage parlors before. Long is a Baptist who blamed his sex addiction on the parlors, and he wanted to remove temptation. He was on his way to Florida, where police said he planned to target more locations. He has been charged with 4 counts of murder and aggrav- oh my goodness, aggravated assault on Cherokee County, where the first salon is that was targeted. He hasn't been charged yet in Atlanta. So initially, the police said they were probing whether race was a factor in the attacks because 6 of the 8 victims were Asian women. But on Wednesday morning, they said Long told him that that was not why he carried out the attacks. Instead, he said he was addicted to sex and porn and wanted to remove the temptation of the parlors. He told police that he saw the parlors as an outlet for his sex addiction. Detectives have not clarified if he had ever engaged in sex acts with any of the staff there. So he's been there before. He was a client there. It appears to be a front for prostitution and or sex trafficking. So maybe we should do some investigating because this is important to know because it's easy to go, okay, well it's anti-Asian hate crime because that's what you want to see. Perhaps this is sex trafficking crime, right? A crime related to sex trafficking, crimes related to prostitution. So maybe we should look into that. Maybe journalists should do some journalisming, right? They should journalism. They should do their darn job. I shouldn't be doing their job for them. It's a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong. I've been doing my darndest to try to find Hunter. And once I find him, I'll let you guys know. But it's difficult. It's really hard. The guy's literally just fallen into the memory hole. He's fallen into some black hole. I can't find him at all. But I keep hearing the noise like my door's opening behind me. It's really weird. And finally, from Jason Rants, it feels like some are disappointed the Atlanta shooting isn't proof of a hate crime as of now. You are correct. It's a sick position some take, hoping for a crime to play into their worldview so they can brag about how they're fighting back. It's transparently offensive. And it indicates that they don't truly care about the victims. They merely hope to exploit it for political gain or retweets on Twitter that allow them to signal their virtue. A tragedy happened, but too many are focused on a political agenda to address it. Hate crimes actually happen. Perhaps the focus should be on the ones you know exist. Tackle it and stop spending all of your time on Twitter feigning outrage over a "for him" quote that purposefully being misrepresentative to attack police. So, this is important. Like I said earlier, you have people just wanting to take the easy out. The easy out is this is an attack from a white man on Asian women, so it must be some sort of a white nationalist attack, some religious right Christian nationalist, white Christian nationalist attacking Asian women. Because white Christian nationalists are considered a domestic terrorist threat by House Democrats, by the House Free Thought Caucus. I've done a video on this. They believed for them to be a national security threat. And now they want to label what he did as a hate crime on Asian Americans. So they can what? Take our guns, or they can label everybody domestic terrorist. It's pretty scary. So they wanted to push a narrative. They didn't even investigate. A simple Google search, a simple DuckDuckGo search, a simple search on Montego. That's all it takes to find these little tiny connections that these massage parlors are probably involved in some sort of sex trafficking operation, some sort of prostitution ring. So maybe we should get to the bottom of that because maybe this has nothing to do with race, like the shooter claims that like the shooter claims. Maybe it has everything to do with this porn addiction thing that kids have a problem with. There's kids that are younger than me, right? So I'm 30 years old. So I'm 10 years older than this guy. So I didn't have a cell phone with internet on it until what? Until I was 20. That's when cell phones on the internet were any good at all. And even then that was garbage. But say 10 years after that, right? So, or say 4 or 5 years after that. So when well, a couple years. So when I was 21, so say 2011. So that was 10 years. So he was 11 and he was having 4G. And that's when internet was getting real good on cell phones. So he probably had millions of hours of pornography in his pocket. And so you see these kids, they're 18, 19, 20, 21. They're addicted to pornography. They can't have sex without using Viagra anymore. And it's crazy because they're 20 years old and they're addicted to pornography. Perhaps that's the issue. Not saying that porn is bad. I'm saying that being addicted to it is bad. And now you see people acting out and going, well, porn is the reason I'm unhappy. And then he takes it out on the real world when he should be blaming himself instead. So that's going to be it for now, folks. I'm going to be posting another video here in a couple hours. Until then, I'll see you all later. Have a good one. Bye.